Romance of Sui and Tang Dynasties Chapter 48.
Today, we are jumping right into a moment of pure political chaos, the immediate aftermath of the assassination of Emperor Yang of Sui.
It's a fantastic story. We have some incredible source material that details what happens when a regime doesn't just fall, it completely shatters.
And when Sima Dakin's coup succeeds, it creates this total void. So our track two narratives that are happening at the exact same time.
That's right. On one hand, you have the main usurper, Yuan Huaji, trying to violently consolidate his power. And on the other, you have this small band of loyalists on a frantic, really intelligent quest for safety.
And what's so compelling here is the irony. Our sources point out that Emperor Yang spent his reign, focused on trivial matters. But history remembers the women, the dream, who showed incredible courage and loyalty right as everything fell apart.
And that's where we have to start. With Yuan Huaji's power grab. He absolutely knew that a coup only works if you are fast and you are ruthless.
So the moment the emperor's death is confirmed, the purge begins.
An immediate and brutal purge.
And this isn't just targeting the direct line of succession. This is a scorched earth policy against the entire imperial family.
Exactly. He orders his men to execute the surviving princes, Shu Wangshu, Qi Wanredong, Yan Wangyan. The list goes on.
Our source material is chillingly specific. It says, they were all killed regardless of their age.
It's pure political calculus. You have to prevent any future challenge to your legitimacy, no matter how small. It's a sign of profound insecurity.
But then, right in the middle of this, he makes a jarring exception, an exception that, immediately signals there are cracks in his new regime.
Right. The exception was Qin Wang Hao.
So why was he spared?
Pure nepotism. He was only saved because he was close friends with Huaji's own brother, Yuan Ziji, who stepped in personally. It was a decision based on kinship, not strategy.
And that one act of favoritism gives Huaji exactly what he needs, a puppet.
A necessary puppet. He has to transition from being the emperor's murderer to being the state's ruler. To do that, he needs the empress.
So he goes to the main palace, presumably to execute Empress Zhao.
Yes, but he finds her there, grieving with her attendants. And the sources say he was completely captivated by her. They use phrases like, Kuna, her great beauty.
So his plan shifts on a dime, from elimination to appropriation. He sees her as a prize.
And offers her everything. Wealth, power, protection. He needs her on his side.
And Empress Zhao, showing this incredible instinct for survival, agrees.
Of course. What else could she do? She knew challenging him meant death, but cooperating, that meant survival, maybe even influence down the line.
And just like that, he has his veneer of legitimacy. He uses her official decree, the Cha, to install the surviving Qin Wang Hao as the new powerless emperor.
But it's Huaji's government. He immediately makes himself grand prime minister.
And his family gets all the top spots, right?
The whole family. His brother Ziji becomes left grand secretary, his half-brother Shiji's right grand secretary, and his two sons get control of the military.
This kind of takeover always creates enemies, and fast. The executions weren't just political, they were personal.
Oh, absolutely. He used this moment to settle old scores. We have a specific list of officials who were killed just because Huaji had a grudge against them. It was a mix of eliminating threats and just, pure personal revenge.
Which brings us to this incredible anecdote about defiance, the story of the official, say, Xu Shangxin.
Yes. So when Huaji holds his first court to celebrate, Shangxin just refuses to show up.
He's captured, but then, surprisingly, Huaji lets him go.
But there's a catch. Huaji expects submission, a public display of gratitude.
And Shangxin gives him nothing. The source says he walked out. He didn't bow, didn't perform the ritual of thanks. For that quiet act of defiance, he was killed on the spot.
It's such a powerful moment. And the defiance doesn't even end with him.
His mother, Fan Shi, she was 92 years old.
92. And when she hears the news, she refuses to weep. That in itself was a political statement.
Her words are just staggering. She says, "He was able to die for the nation's struggle. I have a son."
She's validating his death, rejecting the regime that killed him, and then she just lies down and dies of self-starvation.
At that level of moral conviction, at 92, it speaks volumes about how unstable Huaji's new reign already was.
And it was. The soldiers were deserting. He couldn't hold Jiangdu, so he packs up Empress Zhao, his puppet emperor, and starts heading west toward Chang'an. The man might have the throne, but he's already on the run.
Exactly. And as Huaji marches toward his own downfall, the focus of our story shifts completely.
To the loyalist underground. A tiny group fleeing the executions, trying to find a safe haven.
We're talking about a very small group escaping the city. Wang Yi and his wife, Yuan Zian, Shui Yi, and most importantly, the young Zhao Wang.
The last hope for a legitimate resistance. And you can feel the danger they were in from the disguises they use.
The young lord was dressed as a girl to hide him.
And conversely, Wang Yi's wife and 2 other women dressed as men to travel more safely. They knew their survival depended on finding a powerful protector.
So what's the plan? Yuan Zian says they need someone with credibility, but someone far from Huaji's reach.
And Wang Yi suggests a name, the exiled Grand Marshal, Yichen.
This wasn't just a random guess, though. There's a personal connection.
A crucial one. Yuan Zian confirms that Yichen is her maternal cousin, her Mayu Ina. She'd already discussed this as a potential safe house. It was a pre-planned move.
But why an exiled official? I mean, Yichen had been stripped of his power years earlier in 611. He was living in hiding as a fisherman.
And that's exactly why he was the perfect choice. Because he was presumed powerless, he wasn't on Huaji's kill list, he was off the grid.
Distant, hidden, but still loyal and, as we're about to see, incredibly resourceful.
So they make the journey. And when they arrive, Yichen realizes he has to do more than just hide them. He has to make a move to weaken the new regime from the inside.
He decides to try and save an old friend who's trapped in Huaji's inner circle, Yuan Shiji.
Huaji's own half-brother. Yichen knew Huaji's rebellion was doomed. The Tang dynasty was rising in the west. His friend Shiji was on a sinking ship.
But he can't just send a letter saying, hey, you should commit treason, right?
Impossible. It would be a death sentence for both of them. So he turns to something far more brilliant, a coded message.
He sends his servant to Huaji's camp at Liang with a gift, a sealed clay jar.
Just the jar, no note. And inside are 2 seemingly random items.
2 dates and a candy turtle.
That's it. 2 dates and a candy turtle.
Yeah.
And Yuan Shiji gets this and knows it has to be a message, but he can't for the life of him figure it out.
The pressure must have been immense, and this is where the story pivots on one person's intelligence.
Shiji's 17-year-old unmarried sister, Shuji. The sources describe her as exceptionally intelligent.
And she walks in, sees these objects, and solves the riddle almost instantly.
It's just a fantastic aha moment. The code is based on sound. The dates, Zio and the turtle, Gi are homophones.
For Zigutang.
Quickly return to Tang. Surrender to the Tang dynasty now.
Defect before your brother's actions get you killed. It's a high treason message delivered via a bizarre snack.
And Shuji deciphers it perfectly. She tells her brother, this is a warning. Yichen is advising you to surrender to the Tang to escape the fate of patricide.
So Shiji's mind is made up, but he has to send a reply. Another coded message to confirm he got it and that he's on board.
He goes right back to his brilliant sister. And she puts together the response. She prepares a lacquered box. And for you listening, try to imagine what these items would mean.
Okay, so item number 1, a child's toy paper goose.
A goose is a classic symbol of a messenger, of carrying a message over a long distance. So, message received.
Item 2, tied to the goose's neck, a small fishing net.
The net, saying, suggests being trapped and tangled. It says, I'm caught in this situation and I need a plan to get out.
And the final item, standing upright in the box, a fortune teller sign.
A public sign.
Yeah.
An open declaration. He's saying, I'm ready to publicly declare my new allegiance to the correct side.
So the whole message is, message received, I'm trapped, but I'm planning my escape, and I am ready to declare for Tang.
It's genius. And he can just tell Huaji his friends sent him some weird toys. The communication is completely secure.
So what's the result?
It's immediate. Shiji pretends to be seriously ill. He asks Huaji for permission to take a small force and go scout for the advancing Tang armies, to secure the perimeter.
And Huaji, who's dealing with 1,000 other problems, just lets his trusted half-brother go.
And Shiji takes his whole family, including Shuji and his troops, and makes a beeline straight for the Tang capital at Chang'an.
He defects to the legitimate rising power that was about to reunite the country.
The Tang emperor is, of course, incredibly impressed. The rewards are swift. Shiji gets a high military title.
But the most telling reward goes to Shuji, the 17-year-old codebreaker. She's made a Zawi, a high-ranking imperial consort.
Acknowledged specifically for her political intelligence.
And we're centered on this loyal general, young Yichen. He's just waiting. He's completely cut off, totally dependent on these tiny fragments of information coming out of the capital.
And that first fragment arrives. A messenger shows up with a simple lacquered box eye here, I think it's called.
That's right.
It's from his friend, a man named Shiji. And you have to imagine, in this environment where spies are everywhere and loyalty is, measured in minutes, just sending this box is a huge risk.
Oh, absolutely.
So what's inside? Just a note? It's incredibly brief, really cryptic. It just says, I have carefully followed your order.
And that's it. And, this is the currency of survival after a coup. It's coded certainty.
It doesn't say what he did or where he is.
Exactly. But it confirms he's operational. It's this tiny signal that the network, the loyalist network, hasn't completely dissolved into the chaos that just swallowed the government.
And Yichen's reaction to the code is so immediate, so telling. He just declares, my friend has found his place.
Yeah, and that phrase, found his place, is so loaded here.
What does it really mean?
It means Shiji has managed to navigate this total political vacuum. He's probably aligned himself with some temporary power structure, something that offers protection just to stay alive and active.
So for Yichen, it's a small victory.
It's a vital one. It means he still has trusted eyes and ears out there. A lifeline in a sea of absolute defeat.
Okay, so that signal, that tiny bit of hope, it just fires Yichen into action.
Yeah.
He needs more than coded messages.
He needs the truth.
Yeah. He turns to his messenger, a man named Yang Fang, and just demands news. News from the old capital, Jiangdu, and also Liang. He wants to know 3 things.
And they are critical. What happened to the imperial family?
Right. Are there any survivors at all?
And, maybe most importantly for him, which ministers kept their vow? Who was loyal?
And the report that Yang Feng gives back is just, it's a political horror show.
It is. It's a precise, brutal catalog of betrayal and martyrdom. It shows just how terrifyingly effective the rebel leader Huaji's purge was.
It was just so fast, so brutal, there was no time to organize a defense.
No, it's just desperate individual choices, moment to moment.
So let's break down some of the betrayals first, the things that would have just chilled Yichen to the bone. Yang Fang reports that Empress Zhao, the leading woman of the court, had lost her virtue.
And that phrase, it just speaks volumes, doesn't it? It points to a complete disintegration of the political and the moral order.
It's not just that the government fell.
No. The moral high ground went with it, and the sources say many of the concubines and ladies-in-waiting just fled. They ran for their lives.
Which you can maybe understand from a human perspective.
Of course. But for a staunch loyalist like Yichen, that would have been seen as the ultimate dishonor.
But in all that chaos, you do see resistance. And what's amazing is how specific the sources are about the different forms of loyalty.
Exactly. It wasn't one single response. It was deeply personal.
So you have this active verbal defiance.
2 women, Zhu Ge and Yuan Bear. They chose a very loud, very fiery exit. They met the rebels by just cursing them, openly screaming their defiance right up until they were killed.
So they chose death by verbal resistance.
It was their final political act, a declaration that the usurper was illegitimate, even as he was standing right over them.
Then you have a different choice, a tragic, silent one. 3 concubines, Huafuren, Jifuren, and Jiangfuren, they chose to hang themselves.
Suicide. To preserve their honor. These are acts that strip the enemy of their victory. You deny them the satisfaction of degrading you.
And then there's the fiercest one of all, Jingmingyuan Liang Furen.
Ah, yes. The sources say she had glamorous looks, and Huaji, the rebel leader himself, he actually wanted to keep her alive.
For what? As a trophy?
Maybe, or to add some veneer of legitimacy, or just for personal reasons. But she refused. She would not be compliant.
What did she do?
She just cursed him. Loudly, continuously. The source makes it really clear that her constant verbal assault is what led directly to her murder. She chose to be a political problem until her very last breath.
Wow. The contrast is it's incredible. The verbal resistors, the ones who chose suicide, and then this fierce martyr. It shows you the complexity of that moment.
And then there's a little bit of suspense thrown in. The report mentions Miss Yuan, a palace woman, is just unaccounted for.
So is she dead? Or did she actually get away, a genuine survivor?
We don't know yet, and the purge of the dynasty itself was even worse. Yang Fang confirms the rebels slaughtered entirely all the imperial kin.
All of them.
Almost all. They did try, for a moment, to stabilize things by setting up a puppet, a man named Qin Wanghao.
Right. They forced him to be emperor.
But only long enough to project this false image of continuity. It was a charade.
And that charade lasted about as long as it took to prepare the poison.
Well,
right.
Pretty much. He was given poison wine and eliminated. They were just sweeping the board clean of every possible threat, symbolic or otherwise.
So the slaughter was absolute.
Which brings us to that single thread of hope. the one detail that could possibly keep the dynasty alive. A young son, Zhao Wangao, had somehow managed to escape.
This whole catalog of tragedy, plus all the cowardice from the ministers who ran, it sends Yichen into this spiral of moral outrage.
It does. The sources say he slams the table, he's weeping, his grief is immense, but his anger is fiercer.
He's furious. He demands to know why no one, no loyal officials, no external ministers, why no one has launched a counterattack against this mad rebel.
He's heartbroken by the tragedy, but he is absolutely enraged by the political cowardice. And that fury is key. It moves the crisis from being just a military failure into a spiritual one for him.
Right. He feels this personal responsibility for the dynasty's honor, but he has no power, no clear path forward.
He's completely stuck.
And that night, consumed by all of this, Yichen just can't rest. He lights a candle, tries to read, but the weight of it all is just crushing him.
This is where the story takes a dramatic turn. Because when the political system fails completely, sometimes the divine steps in to offer direction.
So what happens?
Around 2 a.m, he enters this intense sort of quasi-sleep state. He says the moonlight in the courtyard became unnaturally bright, almost like daylight.
And then he sees a vision.
The late emperor himself approaches him. He's dressed in the formal imperial robe, but there's this horrifying detail that confirms his fate.
What is it?
His neck is wrapped in white silk. A clear sign he was assassinated by strangulation.
Oh.
He's this figure of tragic authority. And he's not alone. He's flanked by the official Xu Shangxin, who was known for his loyalty, and 2 palace women, their faces visibly bloodstained.
So these aren't just random ghosts.
No, this vision is grounded in the specific, brutal reality of their deaths.
So what does the emperor say?
Well, Yichen is about to perform the full ritual of respect, but the emperor just covers his face as if he can't speak. Instead, one of the palace women steps forward and relays the command, the critical directive from the grave.
And what is it?
She says, "Old General, His Majesty entrusts you to protect the young master and his mother when they arrive. This is the only word."
That's it. Just that one sentence.
That's it. This is the moment of divine mandate. Yichen wakes up as the moon is setting and the cock crows, and he sees this not as a dream, not as some hallucination, but as a clear, irrefutable order.
So it moves his mission from being about personal loyalty
To a divinely sanctioned imperative. It gives him the moral authority he needs to risk everything.
And what's so fascinating is how quickly the vision is validated. He's compelled by it. He throws open his gates at dawn, just waiting.
Expecting something, some sign.
And he immediately hears it. The sound of rowing. A boat is coming into the harbor.
The dream is instantly linked to reality. A man jumps off, and Yichen recognizes him. Wang Yi, the river patrol officer.
And he confirms it.
He confirms it. The young master and the lady are on the boat. They actually made it out.
The scene just becomes this emotional rush. Yichen calls for the main doors to be opened, and one of the first people to enter is a figure dressed as a man, as a disguise. It's Yuan Xian.
The same Miss Yuan who is unaccounted for.
Yes, the missing piece of the puzzle.
And she immediately calls him maternal uncle, which confirms she's a relative who is secretly working inside the palace. Her survival, her escape, it just further proves that the network of loyalty wasn't completely broken.
And then the full royal party follows. This is the last living remnant of the dynasty.
It is. The 9-year-old prince, Zhao Wangao, his mother Sha Feren, and a small group of other concubines and attendants. They are literally the future of the fallen empire, right there in his courtyard.
And what seems to seal Yichen's devotion is the prince himself.
The sources describe him with all these traditional attributes of a great ruler. Square face and large ears, bright eyebrows and clear eyes. He looks the part of a true heir.
And seeing the prince, it just triggers Yichen's training, his instincts. He immediately lays out mats, a chair.
He's getting ready to perform the full ritual, the Jinin Shenzi, the protocol between a subject and an emperor. It's sacrosanct, even in a refuge.
But the 9-year-old stops him.
He does. And this is where the story becomes so insightful. It shows this incredible political maturity in a child. The prince flat out rejects the ceremony.
He says this is not the time for protocol. He tells Yichen that if he treats them like royalty, he's defeating the whole purpose of them seeking refuge in the first place.
It's an act of profound pragmatism. He gets it. He connects their survival directly to their lack of visibility. He says, if it wasn't for his mother and now for Yichen, he'd be a ghost under the spring like his poisoned brothers.
He understands that survival is more important than symbolic authority right now.
Exactly. So they need a new temporary protocol. And the compromise they land on is just masterful.
What do they do?
Yichen pays his respects to the mother, Shafiran, first. And the prince just stands beside her. It's subtle, but so powerful.
Why is that so important?
Because it satisfies everyone politically. It confirms Yichen's loyalty to the continuation of the dynasty, that single thread, without performing the full emperor ceremony that would just draw a massive target on their backs.
Right. It would signal a revival of the regime way too early.
Way too early. And the mother tearfully validates what he's done, which cements his role as their protector.
Later, they have a feast, and Wang Yi credits their successful meeting to Yichen being up so early. He says it was just lucky timing.
But Yichen tells them the real reason. He shares a whole account of the dream vision, explaining that the late emperor himself had come to deliver the message.
And what's the reaction?
The ladies all weep when they hear it, because it elevates their terrifying escape from just a lucky break to a divinely sanctioned rescue.
And Prince Zhao, stripped of all his power, is relying on one man for every move.
Yeah.
The venerable and unwaveringly loyal minister, Yang Yichen.
And you, the listener, need to really understand the pressure he was under. He had a vulnerable party, a prince and several women, and nowhere safe to turn.
And Yang Yichen's very first action was to look at their current refuge. It's described as having low walls and shallow rooms, and issue this terrifying immediate deadline.
He didn't mince words at all. He said this location was not a place for a hidden dragon.
No.
The risk of being betrayed or discovered or just stumbled upon by rebels was just way too high.
Precisely. His calculus was grim, but it was precise. 3 or 4 days, maximum. If they lingered past that, he warned, danger is inevitable. They needed a grand strategy, and fast.
Okay, so we really have to unpack this. Let's look at the chessboard as Yang Yichen saw it. If you're a former prince, your instinct is probably to run to the biggest army you can find, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
The ones still operating under the old dynastic banner. But Yang Yichen immediately rejected these major warlords.
And that's a huge strategic insight. What did he see that made the powerful look so fragile?
It's fascinating because he wasn't looking at troop counts. He was looking at intent. He saw these factions as structurally doomed, regardless of how many men they have.
So give us the scorecard for these rejected alliances. Who are the major players he just instantly dismissed?
Okay, so there were 3 massive operations, all nominally pro-Subi, but strategically flawed in his view. First, you have Limi, a monumental force. He has somewhere between 200 and 300,000 troops near Jinyang City. A major, major player.
250,000 soldiers. Why walk away from that?
Because of the political optics. Limi, while strong, was an opportunist. Then second, there was Wang Shichong.
Okay.
He was actually defending the former Sui capital of Luoyang, supposedly serving the young Prince Tang of Yu, who was, a figurehead emperor.
So that sounds like loyalty, at least on paper.
On paper, yes.
Yeah.
And finally, the largest, most consequential force, Li Yuan.
Ah, the man who would found the Tang dynasty.
The very one. He had already established the emperor's grandson as the new emperor in Jijing, effectively claiming the mandate of heaven and mobilizing vast forces.
So you've got the major rebel, the loyalist defender, and the new powerhouse. All 3 offer massive military protection. Why did he conclude they cannot last?
This is where the minister's political genius just shines through. His key insight was that every single one of them was merely borrowing its name temporarily.
So they were just using the Sui banner as a convenient facade.
Exactly. A lie of convenience. Yang Yichen knew the endgame. If any of them succeeded, they would go name and self-establish. They'd ditch the Sui puppet and crown themselves.
And if they failed,
they'd perish together in the Civil War. In either case, Prince Zhao becomes a dangerous, obsolete symbol, a rival to the victor or a casualty of the defeated.
Protection today meant certain death tomorrow.
That's it.
That's a profound realization. So he completely rejects seeking internal political refuge. If all the domestic powers are unstable, where do you even pivot to find actual sanctuary?
Well, after dismissing the warlords, Yang Yichen narrowed it down to 2 very different, very specific paths. He was looking for leaders who lacked that grand national ambition.
He needed either genuine old-school loyalty or something else.
Or geographic and political detachment.
Let's start with the internal risk he considered. Option A. This was heading north to Yuzhou, to the general governor Luo Yi.
Right. Luo Yi represented the ideal of the old loyal official. Yang Yichen respected him immensely. He was old, staunchly loyal, commanded strong troops and brave generals, and the region was so stable that thieves don't approach.
So if you wanted safety based on personal virtue and military competence, Luo Yi was the man.
He was the man. But safety isn't just about the destination, it's about the journey.
And the journey was the problem.
The massive problem was the rebel Duxian. He was raging across the northern plains, blocking the entire route. Trying to travel across that landscape with a group of high-profile royals was nearly suicidal.
So a 50-50 shot, basically.
At best, Yang Yichen's assessment was blunt. The outcome is half good, half bad. For the survival of the Sui lineage, a coin toss was unacceptable. They needed certainty.
I find this pivot so interesting. If internal loyalty is too risky, the only option left is to go entirely external. Option B, the preferred route, involves seeking sanctuary with the Yichen princess and the Kim and Khan in the far north. Why go to a foreign power? Wasn't that seen as, humiliating?
It was certainly a surrender of internal political ambition, but it was the only way to get physical security. And Yang Yichen's rationale for choosing the Khan is one of the most interesting parts of this. He banked on simplicity.
Simplicity?
Yeah, he described the Khan as honest and simple and, critically, less cunning than Chinese people.
That sounds a little cynical, relying on the simplicity of a foreign ruler. Was that a political calculation or a cultural bias?
I think it was a strategic assessment. Chinese politics at the time was this high-wire act of deception and ambition.
Yeah.
Yang Yichen was saying, the Khan will keep his word because his system is less complicated.
And the political conditions were good too?
They were ideal. The Khan's lineage was weak, but his branch was strong, and most importantly, they lacked a clear heir.
So Prince Zhao wouldn't just be safe, he'd potentially be marrying into a strong, stable family that already had a good relationship with the former Sui emperor.
Absolutely. And to top it off, Prince Zhao's attendant, Wang Dafu, was already friendly with the Khan. All of this combined meant the Khan offered what no one else could: eternal peace and safety.
Pure sanctuary, free from the political pressure.
Exactly. Prince Zhao and the consorts saw the wisdom in it immediately. They agreed this was sound advice.
The strategy is set, they're going north. But moving a royal party, especially one with several female consorts, means you have to travel light.
You have to cut weight and increase mobility. So Yang Yichen had to craft a meticulous manifest for the journey. He was incredibly selective.
Who made the cut?
Only those essential for survival and diplomacy. The core group was Prince Zhao, Xia Furen, Wang Dafu and his wife, and the highly useful Shui Pin.
And the sources specifically call her out, right?
You do. They note her skill in archery and horsemanship. She was going as protection, not just as a consort.
The heartbreaking consequence of that selectivity, though, was leaving 4 consorts behind: Qin, Di, Xia, and Liefern.
And that's where the script flips from strategic survival to moral imperative.
They heard they couldn't go.
The text describes a scene of just profound distress. They were inconsolable, weeping, swearing to live and die together. But Yang Yichen, ever the pragmatist hardened by political cynicism, didn't trust tears.
He challenged their commitment directly. He basically accused them of plotting a new life.
He did. He asked if their loyalty was genuine. Were they truly committed to remaining chaste? Or were they just waiting for a chance to finish their remaining years with a new husband once the threat was gone?
I mean, that's just an awful thing to ask women in their position.
It's appalling. But it reflects the reality. Women were often seen as objects whose loyalty shifted with the conquering army.
But these consorts weren't common women. And Deiferin stepped forward and gave him this powerful, immediate rebuke.
Oh, she was absolutely furious. She challenged him not to assume they were common women who would just be drifting with the current. She immediately invoked the memory of other women, Su Gier, Yuan Bauer, Madame Liang, who chose death over disloyalty.
Wow, so she really called him out on it, threw their sacrifices right in his face.
She did, and what followed was a demonstration that erased all doubt. It shocked everyone.
This is the ultimate physical declaration of their virtue.
Daifuren didn't wait for a reply. She reached for the dagger tucked in her waistband and, with no hesitation, randomly slashes her own face.
Marring her flower face, as the text puts it.
Yeah, with bloody knife marks. And the power of that decision wasn't just the act itself, but the immediate, unified response.
The other 3 followed her.
Instantly. Qin, Li, and Xia Furen pulled out their own blades and did the same. The other women rushed to stop him, but it was too late. All 4 consorts had 2 knife marks bleeding on their faces.
That act was irreversible. It permanently erased their eligibility for remarriage.
It was a complete rejection of the cynical future Yang Yichen had assumed for them. They chose a legacy of honor over any potential new destiny.
So we're talking about voluntary disfigurement, just to prove a point about virtue. That must have hit Yang Yichen hard.
It broke his cynicism completely. His reaction is proof of the power of that moment. He immediately bowed down to the ground, apologizing profusely for his loss of respect. He admitted the former emperor's affection for them was completely justified.
So the strategic calculation shifted. These women weren't just to be protected physically, they had to be sheltered spiritually.
Precisely. They couldn't travel to the Khan, but they couldn't be left vulnerable either. They needed a sanctuary that matched their vow.
And where did he find a remote, politically neutral hiding spot for 4 starred, devoted wives?
Young Yichen once again proved his resourcefulness. He arranged for them to stay at the New Jin nunnery in Duanya village. The location was perfect.
How so?
Extremely remote, surrounded by just a few simple households, rarely visited. It was the definition of hidden.
And the choice of the head nun running the place, that seems like a classic Yang Yichen strategic move, too.
Absolutely. The old nun was the mother of the major rebel leader Go Kaido.
Wait, the mother of a rebel leader? That sounds dangerous.
On the surface, yes. But the nun herself was a chaste widow, noted as being loyal, wise, and, crucially, completely cynical about her own son's rebellion. She believed he will fail.
So he secured them with a woman whose maternal loyalty was outweighed by her wisdom. She had no political stake in the chaos.
And Yang Yichen committed his entire remaining fortune to their care. He promised that, as long as the old minister lives, he would personally fund all their daily expenses.
It was a promise of lifelong provision. The script describes the final dispersal as profoundly sorrowful.
It was. It was done on an auspicious day. The 4 consorts were dispatched by boat. Prince Zhao and the entire core group escorted them for the final separation. It was, a farewell with the knowledge they would probably never see each other again.
And right at that final moment, we get this fascinating little footnote about destiny, don't we? When the young niece, Yuan Zian, tried to join them.
Yes. Yuan Zian, completely overwhelmed, asked if she could stay and become a nun herself. But the head nun intervened.
A moment of prophecy.
It really is. The nun objected, stating clearly that Yuan Zian was not meant for quiet cultivation, and predicted she would have a wondrous encounter later on. Her destiny was still in the political world.
So with the 4 loyal consorts safely hidden, Prince Zhao and the core group returned home to prepare for the long journey north.
And Yang Yichen set the final wheels in motion. He dispatched his servant, Yang Fang, to find a large sea vessel from Dinglai to take them across the water. The destination was fixed: the security of the Yichen princess and the Cumin Khan.
They fled the collapsing state entirely. It's an incredible story, defined by extreme strategic pragmatism on one hand,
and absolute moral commitment on the other.